A Wisconsin father and husband is back in the state months after leaving his family behind. Ryan Borquart is charged with obstruction in Green Lake County, and today we learned he has another legal fight on his hands. Attorney Dan Adams is here to discuss the case with us. We should mention Dan is not associated with the Borquart case, but provides us some analysis with the legal landscape on 12 News this morning. Good to see you, Dan. First, let's talk about Ryan Borquart, and we learned this week prosecutors filed a charge of obstruction. It's a misdemeanor charge, saying he intentionally misled investigators who were conducting the search for him on his kayaking trip. Are you surprised this is the only charge arising from this case?
Well, you're surprised in one way because there's so much notoriety, there's so much attention. I mean, it was national, maybe even international news. You imagine a case like that would be met with some type of felony charge. But remember, every criminal charge has to be in the law book, and that's based on things that have happened in the past. And this is really an unprecedented type of thing that lawmakers probably never thought would happen. So they have to use what's existing on the books, and obstructing is really what we would call an on-point statute. He put physical evidence with the intention to mislead law enforcement, and that's exactly what happened. So am I surprised? Sort of, but when you read the law, not really.
And what's the penalty for this misdemeanor?
Well, only 9 months in jail and a $10,000 fine like every Class A misdemeanor. But of course, a big part of this is going to be restitution. What the county is really mad about is they sent out deputies, they sent out search teams. They really spent a lot of money looking for his body that he said was out there basically through his actions. So we're talking about $100,000 worth of government resources. They're going to try to claw that back through restitution, and you can do that with a misdemeanor.
He mentioned in court, Borquart did yesterday, he only has $20 in his wallet, saying he's going to, at least for now, represent himself. What do you make of that decision?
Well, there's an old saying that the person who represents themselves has a fool for a client, and that's especially true in this case. There's a lot of working parts. There could be other potential charges down the road, and certainly anything that he says in his own defense as his own counsel could be used as a statement used against him in a later proceeding. So obviously, I'm sure there will be lawyers coming out of the woodwork to be able to attach themselves to a notorious case like this. So he should just wait and see and take counsel.
We learned today his wife filed for separation and full custody of their 3 children, ages 13, 15, and 17. Could his criminal case have an impact on that civil family case?
Oh, certainly. I mean, he essentially abandoned his family, and he did it through this fraudulent means. So when the divorce court, the judge that's looking at this agreement, ultimately is deciding what to do in terms of the best interest of these children. We're talking about child custody and maintenance of those children. This person is already behind the 8 ball and will have a lot of explaining to do if he wants to see his kids. All
right, we got about a minute left. Want to change gears and talk about the CEO murder, Brian Thompson. Luigi Mangione, the suspect in this case, the DA in Manhattan, presenting a case to the grand jury. Wisconsin does not have a grand jury system. What kind of happens in this process?
Well, Wisconsin does. In the federal courts, we do have grand juries, but some states have it. So it's a secret proceeding. It's a probable cause hearing. They present evidence. It can be hearsay, it can be other evidence, basically to prove up a charge. And they need that in New York. They've always had it. So once that's established, they'll send over that finding, that indictment, over to Pennsylvania, ask the governor of Pennsylvania to sign what's called a governor's warrant so that he can be extradited back to New York and face homicide charges.
The FBI and other officials have released a lot of information and evidence publicly about this case. For a defense attorney, how frustrating is that?
Well, I always like to have more information, not less, but I also don't want my clients to be tried in the court of public opinion. So it's a double-edged sword, but in this case, given the notorious nature of it, we're always going to learn a lot.
And there's the fight over extradition from Pennsylvania to New York. Do you anticipate that playing out for a long time?
Well, there's reasons to have it. They want to see some evidence, and in an extradition hearing, you essentially have probable cause plus ID. Is this the right person who has this charge out in a different state? That's really all they're going to fight about in extradition. I think it's a foregone conclusion.
All right, some good insight. Dan Adams, always a pleasure.